in my mind.
Yeah, talking about Trayvon?
Yeah,
That was totally legit.
But I think what it did
was completely legit. That was a travesty.
Oh, it was. It truly was.
Yeah. And if he wouldn't have said that, I don't mean no harm. If he would not have took that position, every black person in America should have woke up and strung his ass upside down. If he would not have taken that position on Trayvon Martin, because I'm still mad as a damn hornet about that to this day.
And everybody should.
And it awakens all the worst things in me.
People don't realize that you just have a certain, very, very small
group
of people that make everything on this earth happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do, they make that
Look
happen.
at the Balfour Declaration. That's how the people who call themselves Jews right now were given all that land over there as a homeland for the dispersed Jews. But that's a whole other conversation too. But
all right, so you would get pulled over. You don't realize that the cop is more relaxed when we come to talk. But when I get pulled over, he's on high alert. He already called me back up. Why do you need to? I was just going 65. You didn't have to call back up. That's what I'm just. So there's a privilege in just you looking the way you look.
That's part of where we need to get away from. Is, to go along with the divide is we need to quit judging.
Yeah.
Just
I still be judging.
Yeah.
I mean, and we do.
I'm pre-judged. I'll be honest.
I love it. I love it. I'm just.
And I'm not saying all the time.
But it happens.
But I love the transparency.
Hey, look. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't trust no white woman.
But I think there's a big misconception of you might have a group, kind of like we talked to you earlier, the elite part. You might have a group of people that have that. That white privilege. But it doesn't transcend to us. Shit.
This is Mr. Carolina Hip Hop, the G Hustle boss, FFO King. You see me, look at me, you know what I'm dig? Yo, it is no cap no more. It is no fluff on No Fluff TV. You gotta get into the culture, man. No cap, no fluff on No Fluff TV. Salute to the gods.
Welcome to No Fluff TV, the new show. Maybe not now, but all the people soon. So I'm here with two guests, man. Of course, I'm the P, and so I got my man Brian right here. Brian, introduce yourself. Give him a little bit of background.
I'm Brian. I'm former military. Grew up out in California, between California and Iowa. Was very fortunate to be able to have life experiences to where I lived in a very small farm town that everybody looked like me. Everybody was pretty much related to me. My joke was I had to leave there to find a family or to find a wife, because and then we went from there. About when I was 13, we moved to California and dropped in the middle of Long Beach. And so I went from being in an environment where I had nothing but folks that looked like me to go in an environment where I met people I had no idea what nationality was. And so it's given me an opportunity to have a great perspective on both sides of the fence. And so moved out here to North Carolina in '95, bounced between Fayetteville, Clayton, Apex area, and now we're right here out in Clayton. Enjoy life.
Okay, cool. And my man right here is to my left.
All right. That's what's up. That's the P, that's the B, and I'm the W.
There you
so
go.
We'll give y'all all the alphabet today.
Right.
No, I'm. My name is Warren, and I live here in Raleigh. Been knowing P now, man, for over 20 years, probably going on close to 2015, easy. I'm just I'm like Brian. I'm a country boy. I grew up in the country. I grew up in an area that was primarily native and freed Africans that established a lot of the very small towns in eastern North Carolina. If you look at the history, Princeville near Tarboro, founded by freed slaves, and many other examples of those kind of communities. So like Brian, we coming from two different sides of the coin on that one. I'm so glad that you brought that up because that's very important. And I think it's going to play very well into what we're talking about today. Some of the differences in culture and community, and probably many other things. But I'm a husband. I'm a father, and now I'm a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
Maybe so today.
Any moment now.
Okay.
Any moment now. My grandson and Mary.
We know why.
If I had to jump up and disappear, you guys know exactly why. The mothership didn't come and suck me up out of here. I had to go to Wake Med and go see about my grandbaby. So, yeah.
Thank you guys for coming, man. So, like, I know some of y'all gonna be watching, like, what is the goal? Especially you people on Nextdoor app, because one of y'all got me kicked off, man. So I'm thinking it's the lady that decided not to come at the last minute, but that's neither here or there. Like, it's whatever. But we're still gonna, be here try to bridge some type of gap, between people who look like me and people who look like me.
Right.
So, or look like someone else, because I think there's a conscious effort putting into keeping everyone, I ain't gonna say segregated, but or separated, but maybe at odds with each other, hating each other.
It's by design.
Right. Right.
It's strictly by design.
Yeah,
I agree.
What you mean by that? Go ahead, Dan. Like,
so
this is not structured.
No, I got you. So I have a theory. I'll say kind of a theory, but
okay.
So the internet's a great thing.
Right.
When the internet when it was put out, it was awesome. People like me, that my family's out in Iowa, California, wherever, I can communicate, talk with them. I'm talking maybe the social media side.
Right.
But I think the powers that be, and yes, I will say right now, I probably have about 6 or 7 different tinfoil hats in the house. I have my conspiracy theories.
I love it. Me too.
But I think that the powers that be realize really quick how powerful social media is as a tool to create divide between, the races, your political views, financial, religious, whatever you may call it. They found a way to use that to create the divide. Growing up, what I did, I went from Iowa to Long Beach. My claim to fame is I went to high school with Snoop Dogg. Didn't really know
Polytech.
but yes, sir.
Yeah.
Graduated in '88.
Word.
But we, back then, our fathers, our mothers, they fought to end the segregated part. They fought, when we left California, I was born there. We left California when I was 4. We lived in Torrance at the time. And that was right after the Watts riots. And so for people who aren't familiar with it, was a big racial, war, if you want to call it that, within that area. My dad told me stories of when, at night during everything was going on, going in and out of their neighborhood, they actually had the people that lived in the neighborhood on roofs at the entrances. They were blocking them, people with rifles. A lot of these guys coming back, they were Vietnam vets.
Right.
But you had...
That's the spook who sat by the door.
Yeah.
That's very deep. That's a well-known book that everybody should read. Yeah. What he's talking about right here with people in the community being on rooftops with rifles to stop the National Guard from coming in and killing black people wholesale. That is a little black history. That's a little known black history fact that was very integral in moving the needle forward and making the powers that be start to change policy. A lot of people think it was from the nonviolent civil rights movement. Right. Actually, it was people out there that were military, ex-military, not necessarily the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers were more intellectuals. They were college kids, right? But they were also understood, because they were educated. They also understood the machinery and the mechanisms in government, banking, and politics that moved the world. So they were able to create a counterpoint to that, to kind of, that's what the fist was about, right? If I smack something, it makes a sound and it makes a certain kind of impact. If I use my fist, it's more of a galvanized and solid strike that can put a dent in the establishment. It also showed the togetherness and solidarity, not only amongst blacks but whites and Latino communities and others as well. But continue on, Brian. I didn't want to jump.
No, you're fine, bro. You're
that.
fine. And you kind of made the point. In that neighborhood, it was a mix. They had black, white, they had Latino, and they all were together protecting their neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of the Vietnam War, you had a lot. I mean, everybody that was there. My dad kind of told me, you had to segregate apart. And when the Vietnam War started, you had people realizing, look, I need to rely on this black man right here,
mm-hmm.
because if I don't,
that's right,
I may not make it home.
That's a
so
point.
You lose that color piece of it. You're my brother,
right?
And I got to depend on you. So the bonds were started to create, and the divide was brought closer together to where there was no divide anymore. So when that happened, my dad told me when it happened, that's when you really saw, well, we had a guy get shot and killed right on our front yard when I was 4. It was just a random violence thing. That's when we moved back to moved to Iowa. But then when I got to California and got back there and got into this area to where, again, I literally, there was a kid in my school who became great friends. He was Samoan. I'd never seen a Samoan person in my life before. And I looked at him and I asked him, I said, dude, what are you? I mean, literally, what's your nationality? And he just kind of looked at me, he's like, man, country. I said, well, yeah, I agree. But, what, and so it was a learning thing for me.
Right on.
But one thing that my parents instilled in me was that there was no, you judge a person by their character, who they are. And back then, we didn't have the internet to sway us or to whatever. If I didn't like you, it's because you listen to shitty music, or whatever. It had nothing to do with the color of your skin. I mean, we always had a little joke in my house that and it was an apartment, but our apartment was like a little mini UN.
Right.
You could walk in at any time and find somebody from any nationality.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Matter. We all hung out, and I think once the internet started and they realized what they could do with it, they started just planting these seeds. And they got to the point that, it's gotten to the point now, at least in my opinion, me as a white, heterosexual Christian man, I'm the target. If you read social media right now on any aspect when it comes to that, I'm the devil. Yeah. Because of that.
Yeah.
And
that's true. That's also propaganda.
It is.
Yeah.
It's strictly propaganda. Because why? I mean, why am I? How do you know me in a way to where?
Because there are powerful people that control the world and control the narrative, and they want it to be a black and white thing.
Exactly. So, they want us to be at odds.
Trust.
They want us to be at odds because if I'm looking here, I'm not looking there.
Right. That's right.
And I'm not seeing what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. And they got a name. Yeah. Yeah. They do got a name. I'll be easy right now. Yeah. I'll let it.
Do we need to do another one?
Yeah. We probably will. We probably will need to be a sequel to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just hearing y'all different. Y'all a little bit older than me. You a little bit older.
I'm 47.
Okay. I'm 53.
Right on.
Pause for a second. I just heard a noise.
Okay.
Kind of sounded like we were outside the door.
Okay.
Because I know sometimes they think it's just a click off. Okay.
So how old are you two?
Yeah, I'm 41.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not many years between us,
right?
But there's so many different experiences that we have and viewpoints, right? Because you being 55, 53, your experience is like my sister's.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
No, she was Tanya is like 55 now.
Okay.
So you're like her generation.
Right.
Warren is like right below them. So Warren is he's older, but he's still kind of like right there with me. But I'm still
right.
So I'm still on the younger side of my viewpoints is the way you grew up and the way you grew up and the way I grew up. I feel like my generation is really the hip hop generation. So it's like, our generation is like being from North Carolina, we see things kind of black and white, but at the same time we don't.
Right.
Because the music brought us together, I feel like more than other things did.
Right.
Like you said, Christian, like most of us in this area grew up in Christian households, so. What I think it was Malcolm X said it's the most separate day of the year, or of the week. It's Sunday.
Sunday.
Right? White church, black church. So it's like, but at the same time, me growing up even with that, it's like my parents visited white church.
Yeah.
So and that was unusual.
Right.
None of my other friends, none of their parents. You know what I mean? Because I guess the way my dad chose to bring, I would say us up, but it was really me because I was like the last one in the house. So like I want to say, they didn't. Most black kids don't grow up learning to feel a way about white people, but they learn to feel a way about white people. If that makes sense. Because it's like normally we wouldn't, but it's like, man, why you had to do us like that? Or we just see certain circumstances where, prime example, right? I was 4th grade. Never forget it. My mom bought me some black Reeboks, black top, brand new. And right before that, I was playing soccer like the last couple of years.
See, that just tells you something about your parents right then, because don't admit a black kid that play soccer, especially not from Eastern North Carolina.
Right. Yeah, I was playing soccer, and this season I didn't play it for whatever. And I saw one of the kids at school, and they was losing that year. And they said, "Hey man, won't you come back and play? We need you." Blah, blah, blah. So I went to the practice, walked across Sam, talked to the coach. He was like, "Yeah man, we'd love to have you back." I said we saw winning. I remember this. Right. And so we got to the championship and we lost. But it's like when I came, the season turned around.
Right.
And I remember they was giving out the trophies. And the coach had all the players and the parents around him. Said, guys, we had a good season this year, blah blah blah. But we want to show appreciation to the player who kind of was there for us.
The MVP.
So I thought it was gonna be me. Right. Because for sure, I got to be here for practicing in my black top.
Right.
I messed up some brand new shoes. So of course, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to get this.
Right.
And then they gave me to this white guy.
Okay.
White kid, right? And I know he didn't play. I remember.
Right.
And I remember looking at my dad and I remember crying.
Yeah.
Why did they...
Was he the coach's son or something?
I don't think so.
I got you.
And I was like,
maybe
why did they forget me?
Right.
And 4th grade. How old were you in 4th grade?
Fourth grade. Yeah, probably 8 or 9 years old. Yeah.
Yeah,
9 or 10. Yeah.
Why they do me like that? He just put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You'll realize it."
Right.
He didn't say,
yeah,
that's how they do us. No, he didn't go into all that.
Right. You'll understand.
You'll understand one day.
Yeah.
And so I never forgot that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so my experiences has always been I don't know if I fully trust this situation.
Yeah, right.
I get it.
Because even with that one little incident in 4th grade, I realized that they will look over me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, there's other things that happened that made me kind of piece these things together. But I also feel like by him not imposing, negativity on me, that it was always a chance.
Yeah.
That, there was maybe someone good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they, liking little white girls and stuff in school. And they would always say, "Oh, my parents, they wouldn't like it."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it.
So, yeah.
All of those things kind of made me see the world a little different.
Yeah.
And see, the bad part about that is, man, is in my mind, that's an individual thing.
And I got a great point I want to jump.
Go ahead. No.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, a lot of that's individual. I mean, it could have been you had your group of coaches up there, and every one of them was, "I do. We need to give it to Pete."
Yeah.
But the one guy that was the head coach, because he's an ass,
Right.
he's like, "No, we're going to give it to this kid." Everybody else would, agree. Right. And it's that one person. You can have one person in the group, man, that can place that seed inside of somebody's head that everybody's like that.
Right.
You know, just because of a situation where, you know, and it had nothing to do with that, just the guys that.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right.
I've got probably 5 scenarios I can give here, right? But I'm gonna start here. That's gonna kind of illuminate this whole point that you just brought up. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go back to the chronology, right? You're talking about the age difference,
right?
Okay, and we're talking about the age difference and how there's about 4 or 5 years age difference in between each one of us, going up, right, or coming down, however.
Right.
And so even though that may not seem significant, that's very significant because like I always say, this table is 360 degrees, right? I am only able to see theoretically this much, maybe that much, right? Going this way, right? Everything else is off over here, right? But then you're here and you're able to see that much. But then he's there and he's able to see that much. And so that starts to get us closer to a full scope and a full view of the whole picture.
Right.
And that's important. And that's why these kind of dialogues are so important, because there is the myth and then there's the reality.
Exactly.
And we need to start dealing more in the reality. The thing that I want to say about, you know, these disparities and this kind of behavior is this, and here it is. Muhammad Ali said this. He was in an interview. I don't think it was Howard Cosell, but it was one of the more famous guys of that day. Muhammad Ali said, if you open up the doors to this auditorium and 10,000 snakes come crawling down the aisle, how am I supposed to know out of 10,000 which one is not poisonous? This is during a time of very hostile racial behavior. And the point he's trying to make is that I know not all white people are bad. But who can I trust? Because I've been shown that there's a overarching and a wide-reaching behavior amongst a certain group of people, right? And we're talking about this in context of a time when you have to understand that when the rules were written and all the laws were implemented for the United States of America, black people were considered property, right? Black people were not even given a status of being partially human until it came to the matter of voting. Right. And even then, those who were in power did not want to acknowledge that black people were a full human being because they wanted to stretch the black vote to say you need 2 black people to equal 1 vote for a white person, right? That's one. The next one is man.
Well, while you think about that, I got a question for you.
Sure, yeah.
Because you brought up the political side of it. I'd like to hear y'all's opinion of, do you feel that there is a particular party that panders to the black vote?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you feel like, now, okay, so, and I'll throw it out there. I mean, the Democrat Party, in my opinion, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And what kind of just blows my mind and pisses me off, like, we'll take the voter ID here in North Carolina, and they fought it so hard because they said that it would hinder the black vote. You know, black people be able to vote. So, and I mean, we've all heard the arguments of, well, you got to have an ID to open a bank account. You got to have this. So, you know, to me, that's derogatory to say that you're not capable as a black man to go out and even get an ID card to do whatever you need to do in life. And I might have my numbers wrong, but I think when they really went down and they looked at when they voted on that oh shit, I forgot the word for it, but when they voted to have that put into place, 75 or 73% of the black voters that year voted for it. They voted for it. And I guess what I can't wrap my head around is you hear people talking about how you know, that is racist against black people, but how does that not come across to y'all as being like, damn, we're not even...
It's propaganda.
We're not, exactly.
It's propaganda. It's a tactic, and it is what it is number one is that any time that it's like the fireman that sets a house on fire and then runs and puts the fire out.
Right.
In order to for some people to feel relevant and valid, they have to create a crisis.
Right.
Right. There's a well-known documented term that many believe that the elite use this term, and it's order out of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
This is a real thing. This is a real thing.
Right.
Let's create a crisis. It's something I want to circle back to, being that we went there, and I love how this conversation is flowing because everything is staying.
I'm going to be the comic relief because these guys are cooking.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right
But let's keep cooking though. Let's keep cooking.
Okay.
And so let's keep cooking because I want to stay locked in on this one.
Okay.
When you talked about the internet and how they will use the internet for nefarious purposes,
right.
purposes of division.
Yep.
Okay. I believe it's more like this. At a certain point, those who understand economics and numbers started to realize that if you collect data and then you set up an equation with certain data points, you can start to manipulate the variables in that equation to get a different outcome.
Yep.
For example, if I want to weaponize money, I can set up this equation where the cost of gas is $2 a gallon. The cost of bread is $3 a loaf. The cost of milk is $3 a gallon, right? I can set these parameters up, and then I can go in and manipulate a variable that's critical, like gas.
Yeah, because my gas is like $4, right?
Okay. So I can manipulate that variable, right? But what happens when I manipulate that variable? That variable affects everything else, right? Now they determine this type of model or method of calculating based off a wartime concept where they would use mortars and they would shoot the mortars and they would use the Richter scale, how they measure earthquakes, and they would let a round hit the ground and they would measure the seismographic data that would come from it,
right.
And they would say, okay, this projectile hit here, but it affected this
Right.
It has a blast radius,
right?
Okay, now they use the same concept and technology in economics, and they start shooting mortar rounds into the economy to see the effect of what these things can do. And so they can create a crisis by manipulating gas. Okay. Now, so I wanted to make that point because I want people to understand there's a science behind how they control the world, how they control the economy, how they control the people. You have to know your enemy and the tactics of your enemy to understand why they keep beating us. And when I say us, I do mean us. So I think it's important that we understand the tactics and techniques and methods that they use to control us. And so data gathering is one of those things. That's why they have these big data analytical tools that are able to monitor every keystroke, every Google search, everything that you do. It creates a digital footprint. And through big data analytics, they can either expand that footprint or they can shrink that footprint, meaning that they can take very small data points and they can expand those things out to follow trends and patterns and behaviors. And they can also take huge amounts of data and shrink it very granular. And so they can look to see at a very precise and more accurate. Right.
Ever since we got these, right?
Yeah.
These. Either was it Colorado, West Virginia? Everything we have said, done, searched for, look for. Whether that thing we're talking to it or not,
Yeah.
it's gathered every bit of that.
Yeah.
They've got a little hard drive, so to speak, sitting, and one's got my name on it, one's got Pete's name on it, one's got Warren's name on it, and it's gathered everything.
The Matrix, man.
I mean, how many times have y'all just been sitting there talking to somebody, and I'm like, man, I need to find me a new notebook, man. And I want one that's going to look like this.
Yeah,
and
that's a nice one, by the way.
Thanks to my wife bought this for me.
Nice.
My wife, I love to write.
Yeah.
I love to read.
Okay.
And so she bought that for me to just jot ideas and notes down or whatever. But how many times have you talked to somebody just randomly?
Yeah.
And then you go open up your phone and you get on social media and boom, that notebook's popping up. Hey, go buy this. They're listening to us. They're recording everything we say.
Yeah.
There ain't no doubt in my mind. I mean, just listening to y'all talk, we're on list somewhere. They've got us red flags somewhere.
We're definitely a threat.
Yeah, because
on some level.
because we are not falling into lockstep with
That's
the
right.
bullshit they're trying to feed.
That's
us.
right.
You know, you talked about the economics part. You're absolutely right, and you say you have a truck driving background too, so you understand that if it takes $4 a gallon to fill my truck up, it's going to take me this much to get that product there. So I have to recoup that money.
Yeah.
Now, if I've got to pay $6 a gallon,
that all comes down to the consumer.
Now you've got to up that price
That's
again,
right.
or what have you.
And the consumer is the one who always bears the burden.
Right. And so it's just, I mean, and it is a control thing. The whole, in my mind, the whole idea behind the government and the powers that be, there's the five up there that are really controlling stuff. They want us to get to the point that we are dependent.
Mm-hmm.
We need.
Yeah, definitely.
They're. I don't know if y'all ever heard of a gentleman. His name is American. He's a writer.
Okay.
And he wrote. It's called the Survivalist series,
mm-hmm.
and it's like an 11 or 12 book series. And I've read it twice, and actually I've downloaded half of it on audiobook. And when my wife and I make trips, we put it on. That's what we listen to. And basically, it's a story of guy. He's an IT software salesman. He lived down in Florida. Now he's prepped, so to speak. He's got the solar and he's got the stuff like that. Well, he gets up about 200 something miles from his home, and the Russians pop an EMP.
Oh,
and it just kills everything electronic. And so the first book is his story of coming home, trying to make his way back to the house, and one of the things that it talks about is when that happens, you cut the power. Most people, the average person, if you go open their fridge or their freezer, they might have 3 days worth of food for their family, maybe. We are dependent on the grocery store. We get off work, hey, baby, what do you want me to stop by and pick up for dinner? Now, I lived in Pittsburgh. I had a homestead out there. And I was, by the time my ex-wife and I split, I was probably 75% self-sufficient. I had a garden, I had greenhouses, I was raising pigs, chickens, solar, I had a whole home.
Wow, bro, that's heavy duty. And
everybody's like, hey man, look, you what you do prepping for the zombies? No, I'm prepping for the fact that I live out in the middle of the damn country.
Right.
And if I get a snowstorm come in here, ice storm come in, I ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
So 7 days I might be locked into my home.
The ants and squirrels do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wisdom.
Right. But this book talks about that. Well, but one of the things that he goes into is when everything kind of goes to shit, so to speak, collapses, and people are struggling, DHS comes in. And what's the thing about it is they use the postal service to, and again, this is all fiction, theoretical, take what it is. The postal service becomes involved with it. What they do is they go around to people's homes saying, hey, you guys okay? Do you need anything? Well, we have a place that you can come that we will feed you, we will put you, you got a roof over your head, you got everything you need there. And essentially they are concentration camps. They are, and so when they come across people that don't need that, they are self-sufficient. They go through and they basically burn or destroy everything they have that is providing for them to make them have to come there, to control. And we're already there. In not the literal sense that we got to pack the family up and drive over here wherever, but we're already there because we are so dependent on everything they provide for us. Like you were talking, they raise everything up. They say, "Oh man, everything's bad." So hey, look, I'm gonna give you a check.
It's a house of cards. Yeah, and it can fall in a minute,
anytime.
And that's not. It's nothing to panic about. I think that's the thing that people need to understand more than anything is that, first of all, stop being afraid of a paper tiger. Stop thinking that, people have more power than they really do. This is all an illusion.
Right. It is.
I mean, it's the Matrix.
It is.
I tell my children this all the time.
Right.
Once you decode the Matrix, everything is going to slow down to you, and you're going to figure this stuff out, and you're going to stop panicking and worrying about the what ifs. Because 90% of our problems only exist in our mind.
Exactly.
Right? And so, that the thing of it is that we need to get back to sharing information. Right? Am I my brother's keeper? What that means is that if I watch you and I see you lacking in something, it's my responsibility,
right,
to bring it to your attention and say, Brian, look, brother, I've been noticing, man, hey, man, you might want to think about doing this, right, and this, because this can help. Because we know that culturally, right, there's things missing. When we look in the black community, we see that there are things missing. We see, people, divorce rate. We see, premarital pregnancies. We see, bad credit, all these bad health choices and these type of things. Then on the, in our Caucasian or white brothers and sisters communities, we see a very high rate of young people killing their own people, right? People talk a lot about black on black crime. If you look at most of the crimes that was committed as far as mass murders are concerned, these were young white men, right? The black kids are out here gang banging and killing on each other, right? Through the music,
right?
You see what I'm saying? So, but all of us have got some things that need some attention that we can help each other with.
We can.
And I'm me personally, man. My thing is that I have been more mistreated by members in my own family than I had white folks. So a person can't never come and try to convince me that white people are the enemy. I'm just not going to believe that.
And you know what's funny, because coming from the West Coast like I did when I come to North Carolina, you always hear about the South. There's division, there's segregation. I mean, everything South is like still back into
certain places.
They are.
Certain places,
what I have found since I moved here is that the acceptance of the black community to me,
no, see what I'm saying?
Is 100% better than what it is out west.
Right on.
Even though this is we're in the air.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the South is where it happened. That's where the slavery was. That's where. And I think that even though you had what went on, that you had people that come out of it and they taught their children, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, they taught their children that, not every white man is a bad man.
Yeah.
Not every black or white woman is a bad person.
Right.
We had the situation that we were in, but you can't go forward and carry that with you, because if you do, it's not going to hurt anybody but yourself.
Right.
If I go through my life and every black man that I see, I immediately feel ill will, so to speak. Man, my life's gonna be miserable.
I see this going on in the black community more than in other places, is the curse that's been on the people of God. If you look at black people in America, especially, the black people in America are really the only people that fit Deuteronomy 28 in the Bible, when God laid out the curses that he was going to put on his people if we did not repent and turn from our ways.
Hold up, man, you're going to mess up the Christian people that be watching, because they don't believe in this.
Hey, listen, for the Christian people that's watching, all I can tell you is I like Geno Jennings, and Geno said, "I smack you in your mouth with Bible." So don't let your feathers get ruffled and don't get all excited because I'm shaking up your theology, especially my folks from Solid Rock, because one thing El Fode Farah taught us to do, and you know this and you know it well, is to shape and develop your own theology. You never listen to what somebody else tells you and takes that verbatim. Right. You have to study things for yourself. And so, for all the Christian people, I hope that you all wake up as well and realize that you have been pulled into a religion,
Yes.
and not the way that was designed for you to follow. You even calling your Savior by the wrong name. So, that's a whole other conversation.
We'll take that to the next.
But I think it's so important that we just keep it real, because this is No Fluff TV.
That's right.
This is No Fluff TV.
And these guys are cooking today. Like, I'm sitting back, I ain't hardly saying nothing. I want to jump in and make some jokes, but I don't want to miss.
What we need to do is when you finish your next point,
jump right in, man.
Because you said that you wanted a couple questions, but you wanted one that was going to be just a little. So I mean, when you get done with this point, I'm
done, man. I'm done. I can't, because we can circle back and jump back.
I want you to keep going with the point.
Keep going with the point,
man.
I feel like that. This has been another point of division is the church.
Yes.
It's been divided through race. It's been divided through denomination. You haven't even have cliques within the church. And this church, as we know it today, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
The business of church is more concerned with fundraising and making money and these
building
types
new
of things,
buildings,
building new buildings and paying off buildings and buying this and doing that and making political connections and all these other things.
Yeah, well, they say the biggest business in North Carolina is churches.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I don't know no other place where people just run in to get their money away. You know what I'm saying? Even when you go to the store, you're exchanging, your cash or your for goods. And as far as I can tell, all of those, fathers, early church fathers, or leaders, in the ministry, that were with Yahushua when he was here on the earth is 3 years of ministry. All of those people did what they did, because they knew that they had been called to do it. Now you've got a lot of men who are appointing other men to go and do things, and people are saying that, they feel entitled to privilege. They feel entitled to economic gain and these kind of things off the backs of the people, because they've been handpicked or chosen by other men to get in these positions. Everybody knows what I'm saying is true. And so I'm gonna just leave that there, you know what I'm saying? Because that's probably a conversation. But
when you talk the financial piece, and this is actually a conversation my wife and I had back in Dallas, I struggle. I mean, first of all, I don't believe in religion.
Right.
Religion is man-made.
You say you're Christian.
No, I am a Christian. No, I'm a believer. I believe in God, but I don't believe in religion. Religion is man-made.
I understand exactly what you're saying when you say that.
Religion is. It turns the church, it turns the belief into a corporate mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we got to build a bigger building. We've gone to churches before, and the first thing that you can do to chase me away from a church is you start talking to me about tithing. You know what I mean? Don't talk to me about tithing. That's between me and God. If I'm not doing my 10%, He knows that.
Right.
But you ain't got to tell me about it.
Right.
You don't have to beat me up, because if you're beating me up about tithing, you're worried about your pocket.
Yeah.
You're not worried about me doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But there's a story that I heard at a church, Freedom Bible Church down in Fayetteville, and the pastor down there was talking about, how you have false prophets and how you have churches that aren't really doing. And he told the story. It was an old gentleman named M.N.N.B.I.O.Y.S moved to a new town, was looking for a church, so he found one and went in there, and he was dressed up, and he had the jeans on and the leathers and the leather jacket and helmet or whatever. And he goes in and he listens.
I love it.
He listens to the preacher and the preacher. I mean, he's speaking a good word, talking about it. And so after a couple Sundays, preacher comes over and introduces himself, and Michael Bill was like, "Yeah, man, I like what you're saying."
Mm-hmm.
Preacher's like, "Well, good." He said, "Well, do you think you're dressed appropriately enough to come to church?"
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Bill's like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think it mattered. He said, "Well, maybe you should consider, because the gentleman in there had the suits and the ties and all that. He said, maybe you need to, And he said, "Well, listen, you talk to God about it. Ask Him.
Yeah.
Ask Him what He feels you should do."
Right.
Michael Bill said, "All right, I will." So next Sunday comes around, Michael Bill's sitting in the back, and he's got his jeans on and his leather vest, and he's got his helmet and all that. And at the end of the service, he goes up to the preacher. He said, "Preacher, I just want to tell you, it's going to be my last day here."
Wow.
And he said, well, I hate to hear that. He said, but I noticed how you dress. He said, did you do what I talked? We talked about it. You talked to God. He said, I did, yeah. And he said, did God respond? He said, sure. He said, what would you ask him? He said, well, I asked him, I said, where are your church? And he said, what was the response? He said, I don't know. I've never been there.
That's the boy, listen.
Yeah. And that's, you have
that's deep.
These churches that.
I won't expect it now.
That's deep. Did you see how long it took me to? Yeah, because it was a curveball. But I like it.
And that's what it is.
I like it.
You have people that go into the business of religion,
right, for
themselves. And I always use this. And I'm dude, look, I'm a man that can't judge nobody. Right. There ain't but one judge in this world.
Oh, trust me, I've been listening.
And I can't judge. Yeah, I can't judge anybody, who you are, what have you. And I'm a Christian and I follow the Bible and I believe in God.
That's the closest thing that you can. That's the closest label that you can find that identifies who you really are. Right. That's why when you say I'm a Christian, and that's why even when we talk to the Christian church, that's a label that we are familiar with.
Right.
But but continue on though.
But I'm that person that I grew up Roman Catholic.
Right.
And I went to confession, first confession, confirmation. I was an altar boy for 8 years. I did the whole thing. I did not.
Did you get touched on as an altar boy?
No. No, it is. When I was an altar boy, that's when we were living in Iowa, Father Stone.
That was a real question, OP. I respect that.
Yeah. No, me too.
Right on.
Me too. And I appreciate that. And if it had happened, I'd say yeah. But our priest, Father Stone, bless his heart, the man was more worried about getting service done so we can get over there and pour himself another drink.
Right on.
You know what I mean? He was old Irish, whatever.
Yeah.
So I went through all that. I don't believe in the mentality of the Catholic Church.
Right.
And please God, don't let my mother see this. Because she is still in.
I know that's right.
I was going to say her the link, but now.
Yeah, let's not do it.
Yeah. Okay.
But now me and her had this conversation because I
respect that too, though.
I don't believe in the rigidity of what the Catholic Church sells.
Right.
So I went from there, and I don't believe in I don't believe. Let's just, for sake of argument, let's say you two are a couple.
Mm-hmm.
You two gay men, and y'all are a couple. Man, dude, love y'all.
Pause. I just want to say that. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying.
That's their generation. That's their generation stuff. That's yeah.
But I mean, dude, who am I to say that y'all?
But word on that, yeah.
Who am I to say that y'all are wrong? Right. Man, dude, y'all, I'm gonna love y'all, man. If somebody's transgender, dude, who am I to say you're wrong for being that?
Right.
I'm not the judge.
Yeah, we don't even have to say it's wrong because the Bible says it's wrong.
Right. But again,
anybody who claims to be transgender, gay, and Christian, I mean,
But at the same time, I still give you love.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't judge you. I don't condemn you for who you are.
Yeah.
Not my place.
Because I've done plenty of stuff that ain't lining up.
Yeah. Oh no, me too, dude. I mean, there ain't a person out there that can say that they've done it right.
It's just not
one person that's done it right, and that was Jesus Christ when he was here on. So. We can't do that, but that's part of where we need to get away from this, to go along with the divide is we need to quit judging people.
Yeah.
Right.
Just love.
I still be judging people.
Yeah.
I mean, and we do.
Yeah.
Whether we want to or not, we do.
Yeah.
Judging and prejudging are two different things because prejudging is prejudice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's okay to judge. Like you said, once you get to know a person, if you know a person, ain't hitting on sugar honey iced tea, then you know that it is what it is.
You don't say shit like that when I'm taking a drink.
I'm prejudged. I'll be honest with you.
I love it. I love it. I'm just.
And I'm not saying all the time.
But it happens.
But we all love the transparency.
Hey, look. And can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't trust no white woman, and that means.
I don't blame you.
I'm not now.
Yeah.
Of course, it's just not what it is general. We just can keep it real, but it's not. I'm not saying that all of them are bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying as far as trusting, meaning hey man, I give you the perfect example. I know what happened to M.N.N.B.I.O.Y.S. I know what happened to so many black men out in this world. Go to 2024 with Jonathan Majors. You can literally see him running away from this woman on camera, but he still gets charged.
Yeah.
Me personally, I cannot I have to. What we were talking about earlier, the lady's supposed to come. If you had backed out like I thought, she wasn't gonna come here to be here. No.
Right.
No way.
Right.
Because I know what that could lead to.
You don't think she would have come, or you wouldn't have wanted her to come?
I wouldn't want her to come.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because it would be my word against hers, and their word.
If it was just you and her, or if it was just me, you and her?
Nah. If it was just me and her.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have.
Maybe not.
I
mean, I know my wife here.
Yeah.
I just know that their word trumps.
Yeah.
This is like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
New York City. The guy paid for the scooter. Ride around town.
That was a woman that did it.
Yeah, the woman came, said, no, this is mine. He's like, no, I already paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a video. He's like, no, I already paid for it. So they get into a little back and forth.
Yeah, but she was the one that actually had paid for that scooter, not him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was the one.
It was the other way around.
No, she was the one. She had paid for that scooter, and they went and they tried to take that scooter from there, and that's when it all happened. And they tried to turn it around, saying that she was trying to take this scooter away from that guy.
Okay.
But actually, she was able to show, on her app or whatever, look, I had reserved this scooter.
Okay, I thought it was his.
And that's the problem with the internet, because you know what, they can show you what they want to show you.
Right.
They can, and there's a picture out there, and it shows it's like a sketch of like a and I say black guy, I'm just saying they use black for one person, white for the other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in the way it looked, if you zoomed in on it, it looked like the white dude was like trying to stab the black guy. But if you open it up, it was a completely different story.
Wow.
Completely different picture.
Yeah, I like those, by the way.
And I mean, and that's why we need to take what we see on the internet. Hell, even the news, man. I don't even believe the news.
You got to fact check it. You got to fact check it.
Man, there is.
Wait to see what else comes.
Oh, dude, I'll have to look it up. I don't even know if they're still on there. There's a guy that he does YouTube stuff, but he talks about the conspiracy theories. And when I get done with this, I'll look and see if I can find his name.
Mm-hmm.
But they've actually banned him multiple times because he breaks it down, and he even goes so far that he starts talking about the 5 families, and he gets into that, how things are controlled, and people don't realize that you just have a certain very, very small group of people that makes everything on this earth happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do, they make that
Look
happen.
at the Balfour Declaration.
And I mean, what's funny is there was a young lady.
Speaking of, 5 families that control it, and when you start going up the pyramid, the Balfour Declaration. Yeah. BALFOUR, the Balfour Declaration.
Okay.
That's how the people who call themselves Jews right now were given all that land over there as a homeland for the dispersed Jews. But that's a whole other conversation too. But
all right, so I'm gonna ask my one of my questions.
Oh, throw it out.
And so you said, like I said, a couple good ones, and then one that's just gonna be lighthearted. All right, so here's my question for y'all. With all the choices out there and all the options, why grape? Why is grape?
I love it.
That was good.
Great,
I love it.
I mean, dude. I
love it.
And I've been to black barbecues.
Hey, folks, I'm gonna tell y'all, but I love this guy. Listen, he gonna be a friend for life. Just off the grape soda question,
dude. It's just
I love it.
Why?
Have you ever had a knee-high grape?
Oh, I have,
brother.
I have. It's good.
It's the best thing in the world.
Dude, but it ain't even knee-high, man. It's grape Kool-Aid. It's grape Food Line powder. It don't matter. My wife drinks grape Propel. That's all she drinks.
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. And I can only laugh at that because my wife likes Pepsi, especially in the brown can. She likes Dr. Pepper. She'll drink a Sprite. She likes the lemon Sprite. That's a new one that came out with. It kind of like that, but it's lemon. It's Sprite with lemon mixed with lemonade, probably or something.
Okay.
But the only soda she'll drink outside those sodas, if I go and for some reason they don't have any of that stuff, she loves a crushed grape.
Okay.
And that's all she drinks.
Right.
So, baby, Brian came for you.
I mean, I'm good with it. I'll drink the hell out of it, but I'm just curious, man, because everywhere you go, it's always grape Kool-Aid, grape whatever.
Yeah,
grape drink.
I have no idea.
That was a good one.
That was. I liked it.
Now, this is my question.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not saying that we don't love animals,
Mm-hmm.
but y'all love. Why y'all love dogs so much. Like that's
And you will let them lick you in the mouth. Now
I ain't gonna say.
I will say all white folks,
Dude,
but
I ain't gonna say we don't. No, I'm gonna show you. I got two. I got two of them in the house right now.
Okay, what kind of dog you got?
I have a Pomsky.
I've never heard of that.
It is a Pomeranian Husky mix. She's
Bro, you said husky, so that's big.
She's probably about 25, 30 pounds.
Okay. I got to jump in real quick because I have something that I need to say. Oh, yeah, I've seen that looks like a collie, actually. Same body size.
And then I got this little, hold on, that ain't a good picture.
I want to say something to the lady that tried to blow my man up on the Nextdoor app, though. That was weird, petty, and lame.
Yes.
We'll just say that. So I don't even know what that was all about. That was weird, though. So, yeah, congratulations. You got him kicked off.
And then I got that big head right there.
Okay.
Yo, all right, so
right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you what's so funny about this picture to me.
Now, black people love pets.
What I hear,
some black folks love pets. Other black folks will run like far as go. But call me country, call me dumb, call me whatever you want to call me. We were living in Garner.
Right.
I walked out on my porch one day. I see a dog out there running, and the dog got this thing on his head. And it's shaking, it's shaking up pressure, trying to get this thing off, right? And I holler in the house and tell my wife, babe, you ain't gonna believe this, but there's a dog out here with his head stuck in a lampshade.
Come on,
bro, he was out there. He was trying to get that thing off. He was like a lion, boy, shaking his mane. He was out there, and she said, "Fool, that ain't no lampshade." She said, "That's one of those things they protect them from licking, stuff they put on. He probably got mange or something,
Cone of shame is what it is.
It's called a what now?
Cone of shame.
A cone of shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
You bring like a dog I had prior to that. He was kind of like you had mange, but he had So I bring him into bands.
I called it a lampshade.
And he'd have one of those on, and it's like all the other dogs there. As soon as you walk in, never seen it before. They'll be like, "Damn, dude, sorry for you, man."
The cone of shame.
But his big head, he's 75 pounds. We got the DNA test thing, and he's mostly Stafford Terrier, but he's got 3%. Oh crap! What's
Sub-Saharan Africa?
No, what's that big ass dog? Starts with an M. What's that big dog? Starts with an M.
A Mastiff.
Mastiff.
Yeah.
He's got like 3% of that. Well, I figured out that 3% is his head. it's like
I got you though.
Dude, it's not. My buddy calls him. He said, "Where's that snapper turtle head at?" Look, he walk around. He's got that. Now you put that damn lampshade on him. Yeah. That joker don't know what to do with
Listen, the Sub-Saharan African joke, man. I just had to throw this out there, man, because so many people do the ancestry thing,
right?
And because we all come from the same place. I have some stuff out. My daughter did it.
Okay.
Right, so we have them out there. We do have a tree that we've done. Actually, my family has a very extensive tree.
Okay.
My grandfather, who looked like a white man, by the way, his father was German. And native mix. His father's dad was German, and his mother was native, and then his mother was white. My granddad, but ironically, he was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for being in the first Black Marine Division at Camp Mumford Point.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Dude, that's awesome.
So cousin had a neighbor who was a white guy, and we were cool. And so one particular day, I had let my son spend the night. I went to pick him up. And when I went to pick him up, I walked in the door, and they were sitting there playing, my son and the neighbor were sitting there playing the PlayStation. And so when I walk in, I see the neighbor, his hand move towards something. His hand moved, and he went to get it, conceal it. It was a blunt that he had rolled up. And I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I said, "I heard that." Okay.
Keep going.
So I heard... so I saw him get this blunt, and so when he picked the blunt up, I said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yo, why do you have that in front of my son?" And so he was like, "Nah, man, it's cool." And I said, "No, man, it's not." Yeah. And so I got very upset, and I wanted to have a deeper conversation. What I really wanted to do was beat his ass. Yeah. And so I called him outside. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because I was gonna deal with him. And so my so he came out and he said, man, I don't know why you acting like this, blah blah blah, whatever, it's cool. And so my cousin just told him, you need to go home. She told me you need to go home. And so after he left, she asked me, she was like, I don't know why you were tripping and got so upset. She said, this guy's a very cool guy. We hang out all the time and this and that. And I said, you don't even understand what you're looking at when you see racism, right? And she was like, well, this guy's not like that. And I said, I'm going to show you that he is. And so she was like very intrigued and wanted to see how I was going to do it. And so the next time that we were all together, I asked him, I said, hey, man, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, did you vote for Obama? And he was like, yeah, I voted for Obama. I said, why did you vote for Obama? He said, I voted for Obama because I thought he was the best candidate. And I said, okay. I said, well, when you go back home to your hometown and you sitting around the campfire with your daddy and your granddaddy and your uncles, do you tell them that you voted for Obama?
Nope.
He said, no. I said, why? I said, that was a rhetorical question. You don't even have to answer it. I said, because I know why. I said, you won't go and advocate for black people in front of your people, and you won't go and tell your people that you voted for Obama for one reason and one reason only. And that's because you're afraid to be ostracized and kicked out your family circle.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
And I said, let me ask you a second question. He said, what's that? I said, when you go home on Thanksgiving and Christmas and you're around your nieces and your nephews, do you sit there and roll up marijuana around them? He said, no. I said, that's how I know you think you're better than me, and that you feel like it's things you can do in front of my son that you're not willing to do in front of your own flesh and blood.
Right.
I said, now I'm going to tell you this. The difference in between me and you is this. The difference in between me and you is not that you white and I'm black. The difference in between me and you is that if you and I are together and we're with my people and you are right and they are wrong, I will still stand with you because right is right and wrong is wrong.
Exactly. Right.
But if me and you are together and we with your people and I'm right and they are wrong, you will turn your back on me and side with them because you are more afraid of being ostracized out your family circle than you are on standing on truth. Right. And I said, that's the difference. And so, I feel like I brought that up because I feel like the only way that this thing is going to stop is we are going to have to go to our own people and tell them, listen, you can't tell black jokes around me. Now, guess what? Now, if you get to be cool with my black friends and we sitting around, we chilling, and we can laugh, joke, I might be able to laugh and joke and play with my black friends in a way that you can't.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and let you talk to my black friends or talk about my black friends crazy when I know the truth.
Right.
And then we have to go in turn to do the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and let you indict all white people and say that they're race cut or they got a privilege, because guess what? It's a whole lot of black white folks that had to pick everything they got up out in the dirt.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I will say that these are some things that's different. If you take a young white guy, you take a young black guy, and they both get charged with the same crime, the sentencing is probably going to be a lot different for that white boy than it is for that black boy, right? That's one thing, because laws and things are put in place to handle us different,
right?
And so those kind of disparities, they have to be addressed.
And one of the worst things that he could have done, like Trump, Trump needs to shut his mouth, turn the damn Twitter or X off or whatever. He really does.
It gets him in trouble.
But when Obama made the comment of that could have been my son, he lost a lot of people. He really did, because he interjected the race part into it in my mind.
Yeah, talking about Trayvon?
Yeah,
that was totally legit.
But I think what it did
was completely legit. That was a travesty.
Oh, it was. It truly was.
Yeah. And if he wouldn't have said that, I don't mean no harm. If he would not have took that position, every black person in America should have woke up and strung his ass upside down. If he would not have taken that position on Trayvon Martin, because I'm still mad as a damn hornet about that to this day.
And everybody should.
And it awakens all the worst things in me about how I view racism and the disparities in this country. that was a travesty, and that was a ugly blemish.
Yeah, no, everybody.
On the culture, on American society.
I don't care, black, white, brown. I mean, everybody should view it that way.
Yeah.
It really was, because I mean, that boy. I mean, but again, they keep. I think they try to keep the racism part in the news, on the social media, because if we don't continue to hear it, it's kind of like growing up. If you're continuing to be told that, you're never going to be nothing.
I'm gonna say this right quick, Brian, because I feel like this is so important. Right now, this critical race theory thing, they are trying to keep slavery and stuff out of the history books, right? And a part of that is it touches on something that you just said right then. You said, man, I think he lost a lot of people when he said that could have been my son. And that was exactly what he should have said. And the reason being is because the reason why you have white folks oftentimes say, man, that slavery stuff was a long time ago. Y'all got to get over that. Y'all got to let that stuff go. You'll hear people say what the lady said. I don't see color. Mm-hmm. That's the worst thing you can tell a black person. And so I feel like that because this thing is so raw, and because we are not that far removed away from, powerful leaders being murdered, right? Now you can, it's a lot of mystery surrounding that, right? Because like you alluded to earlier, it more than likely COINTELPRO and a lot of these other, government programs, these, off the books ops to, snuff out, identify and snuff out any potential black messiah that can raise up out of the ranks of the people. That is the most feared thing in American society more than anything else. Because what most white folks are more afraid of than anything else is to lose the power of their privilege and position, right? White folks know. If you ask the majority of white folk, would you rather be white or black? They're going to tell you, I'd rather be white. Because in the back of your mind, it's harder on black people than it is on white folks. I mean, can't nobody deny.
And I'm not going to argue this now, but I'll argue that. But I will say this: that
and by all means, in love and good faith, baby.
No, man, I'm with you.
Let me have it.
But I think there's a big misconception of, you might have a group, kind of like we talked to you earlier, the elite part. You might have a group of people that have that, that white privilege, but it doesn't transcend to us. Me, shit. No, I'm gonna say this, dude. Like, I grew up, my mom and dad didn't have money. Mm-hmm. There was no, I couldn't walk into anywhere and say, hey, give me a loan. Man, I've been denied for I don't know how many loans. I joined the military so I could go to college. My mom and dad told me from the beginning, look, we can't afford to pay for it. So you're either going to have to excel at the education side, which I bet you on the Army, so or scholarships of some kind. You have to do that, because we're not going to be able to sort it out. So I had to make two choices: either don't go to college, which personally, in my mind, I think college is entirely overrated. Right. I mean, I think people need to move back more towards your general labor type of things, because one, you can make a whole hell of a lot more money than you can go sit in an office doing this. But two, those are skills that are being lost. No, and the IT world gets shut down when you hit with the EP, electronics is gone. Man, you got people can't even, they can't figure out how to put a battery in the damn drill. So I think we've been pushing in the wrong direction with that. But again, that's another story. So I had to either decide to go the manual labor side or join the military, so I could have the money to go to college. That's the only way I went to college. Hell, I ain't got nothing but associates. And that's because that's when my money ran out. Right. So me personally, and maybe I just never saw it when it was put in front of me, but I've never had a situation in my life that I could say I got it because he's black, and that's why he did it.
That's the thing, right? Like, I think sometimes when we hear privilege, we assume that it's like just giveaway. It's not really that. It's more of like the thought behind, right? So like, you would get pulled over. You don't realize that the cop is more relaxed when he comes to talk to you. But when I get pulled over,
Mm-hmm.
he's on high alert.
Mm-hmm.
He already calling for backup. Why do you need to?
Mm-hmm.
I was just going 65. You didn't have to call backup.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a privilege in just you looking the way you look.
Is that privilege, or is that a result of what our society has ingrained?
Those stereotypes.
I think
is it more privilege, or is it our mentality that's been fed into us has caused us to think?
It's systemic. It's systemic, and that's the trick of it now, right? It's like somebody putting a paper bag over your head and smacking you.
Mm.
You know you've been hit.
You
just don't see the hanging.
Right.
Okay. Right now, if I had a guy told me this, man, and it was like a gut punch. I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. Made me sick to my stomach, but I knew it was true. I got a job at the second largest telecom company in the world at that time, and so me and my neighbor, my cube mate across from me, was a white guy.
Mm.
Me and him real cool, man. We talked every day, man. We hung out together outside of work, the whole nine. And he told me something one day, man. We were going to get converted from contract to permanent, and we were talking about salary.
Mm.
And he told me, he said, Warren, he said, my dad, man, was an exec in Detroit, in Michigan for a long time in the automotive industry. And he said, brother, it's 3 salary ranges. He said, I hate to tell you this. He said, but I'm going to get paid one salary. A white woman going to get paid another salary. And you as a black man going to get paid a different salary for the same position. And and my heart just sunk into my stomach because I knew it was true. Right. And that's one example of systemic racism. Another privilege. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I guess
he said he couldn't see the privilege. Yeah, and I'm trying to show him how the privilege is built into the system.
And now, so that I can see it being the systemic racism.
If race didn't matter, they wouldn't ask you your race on a credit on a loan, or they wouldn't ask you your race on a credit card application.
And that is why.
See, they got ways that they can manipulate stuff.
And I need to use your restroom, but that is why when I look at DEI, I think it's the worst thing that can happen to us.
DEI.
What is it? The diversity, equity, and inclusion. The things that they're incorporating into the business.
It's
basically what they're saying.
Affirmative action.
Basically they're saying you got to have quotas. You have to have X amount of people of this color, X amount of people of this color.
Yeah.
If you are going to interview for this, you have to have 75% of them have to be.
Unfortunately, if that thing wasn't in place, there wouldn't be a safety net, and people could lock out Latinos, Asians, and Blacks.
Here's my question to you when it comes to that.
Right.
You look at, and I'll do it 2 ways. God forbid you get in that car accident, and your grandbaby gets hurt, and they need surgery, life-threatening surgery, and you go into that hospital, and they assign you a doctor. Do you want that doctor to have been hired because he or she was the best candidate, or do you want that doctor to have been hired because they had to fill a quota on a particular race or particular gender or whatever?
I'm gonna be honest. I believe, and it shouldn't be this way, and you hate to have to tell your kids stuff like this right here, but I believe it's like this. I believe there's a certain criteria anyway, right? You've got to meet these certain qualifications, right? Just to even be in the conversation. But I also believe that if you're black, you have to be exceptional, right? If you're a black candidate and I think I need to back up just a little bit. So I'm gonna say maybe 5 years ago, my uncle, who I love, he's a mentor and a hero to me. I've always looked up to him. His daddy was, I won't get into his backstory, but he took me to lunch, and I sat down and had lunch with a man who was essentially responsible for hiring the first blacks at NASA and CIA. Okay. And whoever was president at the time, I can't remember if it was it wasn't Woodrow Wilson. I don't think that it was. I don't think it was. I don't think it was Eisenhower, but whoever the president was at that time, they had issued a mandate that said that government agencies had to hire people of color.
Right.
This comes off the heels of Spooks Who Sat by the Door. That was a real story that was somewhat fictionalized to protect the innocent. Okay. Yeah, write the name of that down. The Spook Who Sat by the Door. The author of that book is Sam Greenlee. Sam Greenlee's character, because the story is about Sam Greenlee, but he calls himself Dan Freeman in the book.
Sam Greenlee?
Sam Greenlee. So what happened was that there was a senator in Illinois that was running for re-election. His think tank was telling him that if he wanted to have any chance of winning against his opponents, he needed the black vote. He said, how can we get it? They said civil rights is heating up. You have working black folks getting out in the streets in their communities marching and protesting because of the injustices that's taking place in the black community. And so the National Guard would come in with heavy artillery, 50 cal machine guns, and kill black folks, mow them down. And they were peacefully protesting, all in an effort to maintain control. So this senator goes to, he says, okay, well, you know what? I can see we got an issue right here. Here's our way in. And they start going to the alphabet soup. That's what I call them. FBI, CIA, all these folks. They're going to them and they're saying, you know, hey, y'all don't have no black folks on staff. They're like, yeah, we got plenty of black folks on staff. We got black folks in the kitchen. Look at the guy out there cutting grass. Got a guy out there cutting grass. He black. Look at the dude over there painting. He black. They don't have any black agents. And the assumption was, and if you go back and look at the movie The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon and Robert De Niro, they talk about this. They didn't think that blacks were smart enough to be able to be taught tradecraft. They didn't think a black man could be a spy. Now, I'm going to tell you how foolish that is, because the most effective first spies were all blacks. They were slaves. Many people don't know that this is how Prince Hall Freemasonry came to be born, and how blacks were able to be assimilated into the governmental structures of America, was because they were enlisted by not only the British, they were also enlisted by George Washington, the American government, to be spies, because they could be in the room and be seen and not heard. So you almost didn't even know they was there. Exactly. They weren't even supposed to be there. Right. So I don't know what you call a person that's hiding in plain sight but a spy. Right. So this is how a lot of these things came into to be manifested. And so anyway, they started creating these hiring events or whatever. They started to recruit for the CIA. And they had these guys that, they was going through middle-class black families that had been educated, searching for candidates to put into these positions. And all of them could pass academically. They couldn't pass the physicality. And there was this one guy from Southside Chicago who used to roll with this crew called the King Cobras. And this is Sam Greenlee. Okay. Right. And so he because in the city you got these dojos and these boxing gyms and stuff like that. These guys, they get fit, they get with it. And so the guy was Sam Greenlee was he was proficient in jiu-jitsu. And so he was able to defeat this guy who was the one that they had to go up against to, determine whether they could be an agent or not. And that's how he became the first, he was like a staff secretary or something like that, right, in CIA. And so he learned subversion, communications, guerrilla warfare tactics, and all these different things.
Are you getting to the doctor part?
I feel like I'm coming in line. But because he asked the question, right. But but what I'm saying is that the reason why I came down this path is because we're talking about the affirmative action. Yeah, right. And I brought that story into the equation because of the fact that this senator from Illinois was trying to figure out how to win his election. And what they came up with was affirmative action.
Okay.
This is how you ended up having affirmative action. So I'm glad you brought me back off from going too deep into that story, but to stay on point with, that was very good. This is how affirmative action came to be.
Right.
You needed affirmative action during a time when black folks won't even being looked at for positions of authority and leadership.
And you just said something. You just said something in that comment that is kind of my mentality on it. It said during that time.
Right.
Not this time.
Right.
Not now.
Right.
But during that time they had to. I think, and then maybe I'm blind to it.
Right.
But I feel in 2024 that we don't have that same mentality that we had in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
You might have some. Yeah, of course.
Right.
But I think as a general, in public, you go out there and you ask anybody, would you bother? Would you mind if you had a black doctor working on you?
Right.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
As long as he knows what to do.
Right.
I want the best. I mean, and when people,
I hear that,
and that's why my question. And I think we've progressed from that.
Yeah.
But now I think with everything like we talked earlier with the internet, that they have kind of relit that a little bit. They've kind of brought that back up.
I like the focus here. I like the focus here, man.
Mentality. But here, I mean, my thing is that when it comes to your family,
yeah,
and it's critical.
I love
you have you are possibly in the position that you're going to lose somebody.
Hey man, no fluff TV.
You love exactly that you love. Do you give two shits what color that person's skin is?
Not at all.
Not at all. You want the best.
The best. Yeah.
I want somebody that's going to be able to go in there and take care of my loved one and put them back on the streets and bring them home.
Yeah.
Not bring them home in a box.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I think more so the issue is when it comes to that is right. We all would want the best doctor, but there's also, if there's a black one, this was more of a question. I think that's really what it is. Like,
so now you made a comment. A little bit ago.
You have a black doctor. You like, well, does he know?
Man, look.
Hey, where'd you go to school at? That type of thing. I think it's more of a question when it's a man of color versus a white guy.
I get my care through the VA, and my first doctor that I had, female, black female. She was my doctor up here in Raleigh.
Hello.
And
hey, what's up, man?
Dude,
okay.
I appreciate this.
Hey, yeah, man.
I think there's a misconception that white people, when they walk into a place, and I'm not saying I know there are, don't get me wrong, but I think for the majority of the white people, when we walk in there and a person that's going to provide us whatever service it is, we're not going to look at them and say, "Oh man, this is a black guy."
Right.
We don't care.
I know that's true.
We don't, but there's this misconception, and there's this narrative that's pushed that we do, that we really do care. I know, like I was telling you before, my doctor, man, she African American, female. She had her own private practice in Virginia. I asked her, she come down, she was working for the VA. I said, just out of general conversation, why do you leave your private practice? She looked at me, she said, Obamacare put me out of business. She said I couldn't make no money. So she said she had the best doctor I've ever had. Dude, she called me the night before my appointment and said, okay, what do we need to address tomorrow? And I would kind of say this, how's everything? Okay, so when we walked in there, the preliminary is already done. We could walk in and we could seriously talk about it. But so my other example, I'm going to go a completely different direction. Sports fans? Football fans?
Oh, yeah.
No? Okay.
I don't watch football.
I'll use football as an example because it's easier.
You stopped after Kaepernick?
I stopped after Kaepernick.
Yeah, because you was a 49er fan. Okay.
Oh well, I mean,
I used to like, hey,
I'm a Rams fan, so let me go ahead and.
That's so funny, man.
Think about it. Okay, so let's go back to the day that you were.
Okay.
Think about it like this: with the DEI, you're a football fan. If they implemented a program that said, okay, as a football team, you have to have X amount of African Americans on the field, X amount of whites on the field, X amount of Asians on the field, X amount of Latinos. I don't care if that guy playing this position, you've got two guys of a different race that are 10 times better than you. Have to put him out there. How would you feel about that?
So
I mean, look at it as a sports fan.
Yeah,
your goal is that you want your team to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a good that's a good kind of analogy, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I look at it like this: if you said what is 42 members on a football team,
42, 52, something like that.
Something like that,
yeah.
Right? We'll round it down and say 40.
Okay.
Right? We'll say you got 40 players on a roster of an NFL team.
Okay.
If you said that you had to have 10 white guys, you had to have 10 black guys, you had to have 10 Latino guys, you had to have 10 Asian guys, or a mix, or whatever, right? Then guess what? That's equal. Because that means every team has to follow the same rules.
But I'm not saying roster though. I'm saying on the field. On the field. Right. So if you have a strong safety,
yeah,
you have two guys and you have one guy's a black guy and he's like bad as hell,
right?
But you have an Asian guy,
right,
also, and you need an Asian guy on that field,
right?
You're gonna bench that black guy and put that Asian guy on the field,
right?
Because you have to. You're not putting your best person on the field,
okay?
Because you got to fall within those constraints that have been put on you.
Well, can I speak for
Absolutely, man.
As long as LeBron is on that field, on that court, I don't mind.
Cut.
Curry.
Cut.
If they're on the team, it don't matter.
He went.
You can have Yao Ming. You can have.
He had to bring LaFlop into the conversation.
Yeah, man.
That's for a whole other day. That's for a whole other. That's LaFlop.
Dude, all I got to do is say
that's LaFloppy.
Dude, there's a video going around that what they did is they compared LeBron to a dude that was playing hockey, man. Joker caught a puck in the face.
Yeah.
LeBron over there pulls the hamstrings, got to be carried off by 3 people.
Yeah.
And dude comes out 10 minutes later after catching the puck in the face with some stitches, and he goes out there and keeps playing. Yeah.
I gotta say this. I'm looking at Dr. King on the wall over there. Just I have to say this about the whole DEI or affirmative action point.
Right.
Is this: Dr. King was killed in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking 60 years ago, right?
Almost, yeah.
Right, that one of the most prolific leaders in the black community was assassinated, as far as we know, by a white man, whether he was hired by somebody else to do it or whatever the case may be, whether he was part of the Dixon Mafia. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there about who this man worked for, who he was, whatever, right? We know that this man assassinated this man. Okay. 60 years is almost your age.
Yeah. Damn, thanks, man. Appreciate
so I'm not, right. I'm not far behind. Okay, but I'm just saying, in the span of a lifetime, this is how close we're talking about. That black folks could not walk the street without worrying about being harassed by their white neighbors. That's how close this is.
Yep.
So a concept like affirmative action is not that old.
Right.
We're not that far removed from the time when, if you was black, you worked in white people's houses and cleaned their toilets and
right.
things, right? So when you start talking about, removing things like that, or why do we have to have something like that, you got to realize that it ain't that old.
No, and I agree.
Right.
I agree.
And so, that's all I want to say to that part of the conversation is I hear you. And I understand where you're coming from, and I do agree. I think that a bigger point that includes that point as well as this:
all of the what you would call religions, because we all ultimately are believing in the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the Bible says, God. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
Look, so I gotta stop it. Both of my batteries are gone. 30 seconds.
All right.
Thank y'all for watching.
Thank you guys.
Thank Brian for coming
Yes, sir.
out. Warren for coming out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Please like, share, and comment on this. Make sure you tune in for more episodes.
Oh, yeah.
No Fluff TV, baby.
Maybe
Nope.
not now. But all the fingers.
There's one coming talking about who's better at Call of Duty, though. I guarantee you.
All right.